This video is about equity valuation, and when I want to value the equity of a firm, I want to decide on a cash flow model if I'm doing the intrinsic valuation, whereby I'm using discounted valuation. So I have three options, and these are the dividend discount model, the free cash flow models, and the residual income models. The first one assumes that the cash flows the equity investors will receive in the future are the dividends. And the rationale behind it is that sooner or later the firm will pay dividends to shareholders. And when do we use this model? First, if the firm I'm valuing has a history of dividend payments, I could use the dividend discount model. What exactly do I mean by this discount model? Let me explain to you. We already took that the value of a firm is, or when I want to value anything, value of equity here, or valuing equity is cash flows over the discount rate, and the discount rate I use in equity valuation is RE, which is the cost of equity. Okay, so in the dividend discount model, my cash flow here is dividends, so the cash flow in the numerator is equal to the dividends that I'm gonna project into the future. So how can I project those dividends into the future? If I have a history of dividend payments, and those dividend payments are related to earnings, I could project those dividends. If I have no history of dividend payments, then how can I project them? I have to base those projections on something, so it wouldn't work. And I'm valuing here from the perspective of a non-controlling shareholder. So suppose I, Diana, buy a shareholder in Apple. Sorry, I buy a share in Apple. So I'm a shareholder in Apple. I cannot control the dividends that Apple pay. Therefore, I use the discount model, the dividend discount model. Because maybe Apple could pay more than what it's actually paying, but I cannot influence its decision to pay this much or that much, and therefore I'm a non-controlling shareholder. So if I want to value the shareholder, the share I have, I'm going to use this model. And this works for mature firms with stable dividend payments. But I could also use another model, which is the free cash flow to equity, and that's what will be put in the numerator of the valuation equation. What is free cash flow to equity? It is what's left of the net income after I have made all the reinvestments, and those reinvestments include fixed assets minus depreciation and so that the net capex, I mean, and of course they also include the change in working capital. And after I also net out the debt payments, this is what's left for shareholders, right? So this is what's left for shareholders. But the so if I don't really have any history of dividends, this would be a good idea to use the free cash flow to equity. And if those, or if I have dividends but they're very small in comparison to the earnings, then I could also use the free cash flow to equity. But of course I have to have positive free cash flows in order for the equity to have value, as we discussed in the previous video. And this model values from a controlling shareholder perspective, meaning that I'm a shareholder in a firm, but I could control how much I distribute over all the shareholders. That's why the value of equity for me would be bigger than the value for shareholders who cannot control the distribution of earnings. But now let's do all the ways in which we could compute free cash flow to equity. We could either get the free cash flows to, sorry, the present value of the free cash flows to equity in order to get the value of the equity, or we could get the present value of free cash flow to the firm minus the market value of debt. That's another way to compute free cash flow to equity. But now, when do we use the last model? What if I have no evidence or very, very small evidence? This means I cannot use the dividend discount model, so I cancel it out of my options. And what if I have negative cash flows? I also can't use the free cash flow models because I have no cash flows, no positive cash flows. So if I have high quality accounting disclosures, I could be able to use the residual income model, but we're not going to discuss it in this course because it's barely used. And this is because accounting disclosures are because you could manipulate the numbers because of the accounting conventions, and it's the least liked thing to do when valuing a company. And this is why usually we don't use it. So we have to have high quality accounting disclosures, but it's rarely used, this model. So our focus will be on these two first models. And basically this is it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please do press the like button and subscribe to my channel to see more of these videos. Thank you.